So today we're going to be doing the gum tree, a follow-on from the sketch that we did earlier. Mostly blending today, that's a technique we'll be using. So this is the composition that we sketched out earlier. Put it in our visual diary. So I'm happy with this composition. So let's see if we can transfer the basic lines onto our canvas, and we'll start. Here we go. I've put it in with a bit of paint. So on the palette we want a good amount of white paint, some ultramarine blue, raw sienna, some crimson. For a little bit later when we get into the trees, a warm yellow, a warm red, a burnt sienna, and an ochre, yellow ochre. I may need it, might not, but it's there. Plenty of white. We got water brushes, we're ready to go. Let's get our palette knife and we'll spread it across the top of the canvas down to about halfway. If your canvas is a bit dry, give it a little spray with some water first, or just jump in. Using my trusty old palette knife, I'll wipe that off and spread it with a soft brush. What I like to do is wet my brush first and just tap on paper towel to get most of the water out so it's not dripping, and then in we go. It dries out really fast, particularly in the Australian summer, so just be aware acrylic paints do dry fast. So you'll have to consider that. If your brush starts dragging at all, you need to add a little bit more water. Keep everything light. You can always go darker. We'll just move down a bit lower, so we're just putting the base in. We'll have a cloud in through here. So these lines, these paint lines, are just an indication. We'll go over the top of those. To be honest, I couldn't find my pencils, so I just put it in with a bit of paint, light paint. It's fine. That's really good. A little bit of a spray because it's starting to dry already. When you feel the brush dragging on the canvas, just put a little bit of water on there, then make sure you blend it in, or you'll end up with dots on your canvas. Once the background's all done and it's all done, just add a tiny bit of blue here and there. Don't need a lot because we're going to blend it in with the white. If you go too dark, don't stress about it, just go over it with a bit more white. So here, there, crisscross, crisscross, blend it in. Not 100%. So it gives the indication of clouds. Just keep stepping back from your canvas and have a look, and you sort of go, yeah, I'll need to work this bit in, or I'll leave that. So just leave it. Just a hint of the sienna in here underneath some of the clouds, which just gives a hint of a bit more shadow. So this is also going to make the base of our background trees. This next layer here is probably more the background of the distant trees. So we want the tiniest hint of blue in it. Just be mindful, the blue is quite strong, so go in light and you can build it up. Smush it down. Blend it in. So if you think you've got it a bit too intense, just go over it with a bit more white and blend it back down again. Always remember, it'll dry darker. As you work your way towards the bottom of the canvas, you'll slowly get darker and darker with all your different layers of trees and things. So now I'm going to put in a bit of land, a bit of a bank on the other side. This is all background stuff. We don't get into the trees just yet. You can always modify it if you're not happy with it. So just lay in your bones, and you can make adjustments on the way. So really what you see here is an underpainting. We'll go over it. You might change things slightly as you go. It's called artistic license. We want white through here. So this is where the water is. So we start up the back, keep it bright. In this area here we want to keep it clean and bright. I keep referencing the original sketch, and so I keep track of where I'm going. I keep that over the side and just look at it as I go. So just putting in a bit of foreground here. It'll end up a totally different colour, but we'll just lay down the background. So we've done the water section in white. So what we're going to do now is add a bit of blue and start blending it up from here up through to about here. But make sure that this section up here is where your eye is drawn into is kept quite white. That's very important. So you pulled into the painting. So the darkest part will be down the bottom. Just add a little bit of water to my paints because they're starting to dry already. So we'll mix up a bit of blue and white here. Darker down here, and we'll blend it up about halfway. Clean my brush off a bit. You can go over your land edges. Just go easy on the blue. Remember, it is a strong colour. Come up to the clean white. Keep that clean white. We want a hint of blue, just a tiny bit. And then we'll blend it back down, bring the white back down so that you've got no lines in it. We've got no lines. All the time I'm thinking of my light. The light comes down through here, like in the sketch. Just keep reminding yourself of that. Right up to the edges of the bank. Just go over those. I've got it a bit darker down the bottom, which is what I wanted. A little bit of spray on the canvas and blend that water in, because it leaves little dots if you don't. Just add more paint, go over it. I'm just slowly building this up until I get the colour that I want. So basically we've finished that off by feathering it from the bottom. We got it bluer down the bottom, up into the white section at the top. Now I want to get a slightly smaller brush, and I'm going to put some raw sienna on either side of the water section to make these banks at the side, and we'll blend that in. Don't throw your old towels out, they come in very handy when you paint. Let's see, this one I'm going to use a filbert. A filbert, it's an oval shape, comes in. They're very lovely brushes to use. So I'll mix a bit more of this raw sienna. So we're just getting it a little bit darker now in this section, as opposed to the what's happening behind it. So with the colours, work with the colours on your palette. So this section here, coming up from the bottom, actually I'll finish this one off. A bit of yellow, a bit of blue. We're going to make a green, just a hint of that yellow. So we're making green muddy colour. A lot of Australian colours are quite muted. They're quite nice and they all go together well. So as long as you keep using the colours on your palette, everything will go together. It'll work together. So we just want it a bit rough around that top edge, like the top of the tree line. So there won't be any straight lines up the top there. Yeah, blend it in. We'll get it a little tiny bit darker here down the bottom, and blend that in so it's not an in-your-face blue. Bit of red into that, so when it gets blended in, you'll get a purpley colour. Red and blue, purple. Bit dark, we'll tone it down and smooch it all together. Wipe the mud off my brush and go in with a cleaner colour. See, and it just still it just blends in easily. So you're changing it all the time, modifying it all the time. Just break up that top edge. The variations are quite subtle, so you want a difference between this one and the more distant one. more distant one has to be a lot lighter than the one in front of it. So really rough up those top edges. That's it. Work on this other side, the other side of the bank. Yeah, add the blue where you want it to be a little bit darker, just down that bottom section. Blend it in, adding a bit of lighter to sort of calm it all down a bit till we get the right shade. It's coming along. Let's just tidy up this bank on the other side. A little bit too blue over here, I feel, so I'll just calm that down a little bit. I'm keeping a little bit of variation. Yeah, don't blend it until everything disappears. I'll just clean my brush off over here. That's not going to matter. A lot of paint on that. We'll blend in a bit of blue. So a bit of the blue, a bit of the crimson. And add a little bit of yellow to this. That'll start bringing out the greener colours as it mixes with the blue. Still building it up. So this is still an underpainting. And we're building on it from here. So I'll clean my brush up and we'll come back in a second. Okay, so while I clean my brushes off, I mix some more puddles of green paint. Red, we're working with blue and yellow. Made a little bit more green. I pulled some of the green down along the edges just to make some shadows and reflections in the water. So we're going to put a bit of highlight on the water before we move onto the trees. Just along the edge of the bank with the edge of your palette knife. And you come back with white. Now we're ready to start on the gum trees. Still referring back to the sketch. We're going to put one over here, through here, and these two will go here and one here. Right, so what we're going to do, I've already done it. So I've added colours to my palette. So we've got the warm red, some burnt sienna, some raw sienna, some ultramarine blue, and some yellow. I've got puddles of paint happening there. So here we've mixed the blue and the red together. Not 100% though. It needs to stay a bit stripy. The same with the red and the raw sienna. A little bit of yellow. And up this end, we've mixed a bit of white so that this end's a bit light. So we've left it so it's not 100% blended in either. So if you can see that there, that's what we want. We want a variation. They're beautiful colours. We'll start with the trees. Just a light underpainting of where we want them. So it's that underpainting word again. So let's just put in the bones of our trees. So one here on the front bank and another one here beside it. The branch. I can start to add some other colours to it to build it up slowly. And that's the centre of my painting. I don't want to make sure it's not right in the centre. I need it sort of off centre. It's just more pleasing to the eye. I'm just putting a really light colour down this left hand side. I'll start putting a bit of shadow in here on the other side. So you want some of the darker colours. Don't keep blending it until it's all gone. We need it to show lots of different colours throughout. Some of the branches that I'm starting to do, where the fork is, you're going to get that build-up of leaves, and we spoke about that in a previous video. So they just need to be darker in through there. So just keep playing with your colours, just keep adding and subtracting. If it's too dark, go back over it with a lighter colour.
Yes, thanks.
Remember, areas of light and areas of dark.
Yep.
The tree at the back will be darker than the trees at the front. For these little bits of bark that are hanging off down the side, you want to use your soft round pointed brush, and you want to load it with a few different colours, probably a dark on one side and a white on the other. And then the action that you're going to use to do these bits of bark is up, turn, flick down. So poke it up the canvas, twist it and flick it down. And this is how you get those. So darken your trees by reloading some blue and then top it with yellow. If you blend it roughly, it will make a bit of a green. So just keep working on your colours. Redefine some of the darker areas that you've lost. Just remembering where the light's coming from. Now we're going to add some more foliage to the front here, grasses and things, which is darker, and it's going to come forward. It needs to come in front of these trees. So darken up this bottom corner. And some shadows. We want to put in the shadows and the reflection underneath the trees. Some on this side. This little tree over here. Remember to put a reflection of the tree in the water. It's only pale. It's only pale. I'm pulling some of the bank and the grasses down into the water, as a shadow into the water. Before that dries, just with my fan brush, tiny bit of white on there. Don't need a lot. Use a liner brush if you don't want to use that. And just drag a few lines across your canvas, all in a horizontal line. If you do a bit of a blob anywhere, which is easy to do, just get a bit of paper towel and just clean it back a little bit. You don't need a lot. And that just gives an indication of the ripples on top of the water. Just going back and redefining my bank there. Still pulling some little bits into the water. Okay. I've actually put some grasses in over on this bank to sort of give it a bit of dimension. Just more of an indication of bushes and things. So some are hardly there, some you can see. So varying weights, varying pressures with your brush, so that it's not all the same. Just roughing it up on this top edge. A bit darker underneath, and then you'll come back with different greens. Same with this bank over here. some taller grasses along this front bank edge. Now with my fan brush, you want to put blue and yellow, which makes green. Well done. So just some little dabs, twist your brush around, twist your turn, and it'll all blend together. But you'll have some little darker bits and some little lighter bits. So I'm just using the tips, the very tips of the fan brush, the very edge of it all. So we want some grasses, we want some ferns. Yep. So if you've got it all right, you'll actually see the ferns growing in front of you. Nice green ferns. A little hint of yellow here and there, just to show where the sun picks it up. A little bit lighter here and there. Could be a little flower. Don't need much. Less is more. An old art teacher from years ago used to say that all the time. Less is more. Getting pretty happy with this. So you just remember to stand back every now and then and have a look. You don't want any one area to hit you in the face. Okay, foliage. We've got all of our puddles of different colours over here and all the various shades and things that we've used, so it's all the same. In we go. Now the main thing is to dab it. So I'm using a flat brush for right now, and we want to keep a crescent shape. Yep. If you look at the Australian gum trees, a lot of them are in that crescent formation. We'll start at the back, work our way forward. I'll just pick up a bit of dark and a bit of light on the other side. In we go. We want to vary the pressure, turn the brush, go in cautiously. You can always get more excited as you get more confident. So the ones at the back are going to be quite small. Some sections of foliage are darker, thicker rather, and some are not. Some you'll only see a hint of them because they're in the background there. So it's not all the same. Some you'll see as definite groups of dots, and some will be a lot more blurred and smaller, bigger, smaller. As you get closer, you start introducing some brighter colours. Different colours. Each branch is going to have varying colours in them, from dark through to light. It indicates that the light have picked up the sunlight. Don't overdo it. Don't have lots and lots of dots all over your page. You can always add more later. Less is more. Dark on one side, light on the other. It's just dab, dab, dab. Just keep reloading your brush as you start losing the leaf definition. A lot of varying pressures. Some sections of foliage are darker, thicker rather, and some are not. some you'll only see a hint of them because they're in the background there. So it's not all the same. Some you'll see as definite groups of dots, and some will be a lot more blurred and smaller, bigger, smaller. Ah, yeah, I forgot to put that branch over. See, I changed down here to bring this tree more forward, but I'd forgotten to change the branch. So easily done. We'll just fix that up now very quickly. Just paint past where I need to, which will then blend all the paint in so it won't look like a patch job. It's very easy to remedy. Now the trees in front. Coming in a bit lighter now. Add the little branches, which then attaches a lot of these leaves back to the tree. Just load your brush up with one of your darker colours and just twiddle them up. I need another little one over here. Redefine this edge. Oh, it's a little knot, a little broken branch, I think. Put that in there. Yep. I'll do another little branch out here, but I feel it needs it. Just take that darker down a little bit into the tree so it doesn't look like a tack on. So you just blend it all together. Not blend it as in blend the paint away. Go over the top of it with a bit of white. So the underside of the branch, tiny bit darker. You're done. Congratulations. Sign it and you're finished. Well done.